Good morning, everybody. Good to be here with you this Sunday, March the 3rd, or whenever you are watching this, the rebroadcast of this video. I would like to welcome you, and like we like to say in Unity, we are here by divine appointment. And I invite you to hit that like button and also leave us a comment or two to let us know that you're here, and also to share this video with your friends. That's one way that you can support our ministry. I like to also, like we do here, everything in Unity, let's begin with prayer. Okay? So we just take a moment as we acknowledge the loving presence of Spirit, Christ, God, the universe. It doesn't matter the name that you choose to refer to, what I like to call omnipresent divine. That life force that flows through us, that is present in every cell, every tissue, every organ, every fiber of our being. That loving presence in which we live, in which we move, and in which we have our being. And it is from that awareness that we declare our statement of faith by saying that there's only one presence, there's only one power, God, the good, omnipotence, omniscience, and omnipresence. And we release this presence into the universe, and it becomes law. Before we begin with the actual service, just like to remind you that you may support this virtual ministry through PayPal by going to our website, unitychurch.com, or directly by mail, and at the address that appears on the screen, and it is also in our website. So let us go ahead and get started. I'd like to get started today with a little thought. It basically says that the only dreams that are not fulfilled are the ones that are not put in motion, should say. And we need to have an agreement there between the are and the were. So the only dreams that were not fulfilled are the ones that were not put in motion, the PowerPoint should say. And so let us go ahead and get started. And so last week's lesson, I spoke about an invalid by the pool of Bethesda. And I invite you, if you did not watch the video from last week, to go ahead and watch it. It's there on Facebook, and they stay there for forever, I think. And because this lesson will make a lot more sense. And so, just as a reminder, this person had been there for 38 years, and Jesus asked him the question, "Do you want to be healed?" And basically said to the man, "Pick up your mat and walk." So I also discussed that the mat could represent limiting attitudes or habits. We talk about means that could prevent us from moving on with our lives or taking action to improve our circumstances, whatever those circumstances are. And these attitudes could include lack of forgiveness, negative attitudes or limiting attitudes towards money, procrastination, etc., etc. And if we follow the story closely, we find out that the man goes from an attitude of justifying his lack of action by assuming a victim role to actually responding to Jesus' command of take up your mat and actually walking with it. And today we are going to talk about action. Action actually is the fifth unity principle. And yes, it is important to take action, and we see this very clearly in all the stories that we read about in Scripture. Before most of the so-called miracles of healing that Jesus performed, and I say so-called not in a blasphemous way or disrespectful way, it's because I believe that Jesus knew of some laws that we do not know yet, most of us. And so basically those Charles Fillmore says that a miracle is the fulfillment of an unknown law. And basically, but getting back to where I was going, before each one of these miracles occur, there was some action. There was some action that had to be taken by the people. Let me see if I can find it here in the PowerPoint. When in the loaves and the fishes, Jesus told the disciples, tell the people to sit down. Tell the people to sit down and bring them to me. So there's something that they had to do in this particular case. To sit down means to quiet their thoughts, to quiet their the whatever is going on in their minds at the time. Also, in the story about Elisha and the widow, he told the widow, go find empty bottles and fill them up with oil. And also, let me see, I have one more in the wedding at Cana, or Cana, pronounce that in Spanish. The wedding at Cana. He basically told the servant, do what she says and fill the containers with water. Our co-founder Charles Fillmore said that it is not sufficient to sit down and hold thoughts of abundance without further effort. That is limiting the law to thought alone, and we want it to be fulfilled in manifestation as well. Cultivating ideas of abundance is the first step in the process, but there's a second step, and the ideas that come must be used. Be alert in doing whatever comes to you to do. Cheerful and competent in the doing, sure of the results, for it is the second step in the fulfillment of the law. Okay, so on the surface level, it would be easy. It would be easy to use this story as one more talk to teach that yes, we need to move our feet, we need to walk our talk, and actually take some sort of action instead of being passive and wait for things to happen. However, I would like to take this story to a different level by looking at this command, pick up your mat and walk. Pick up your mat and walk. I believe this is very, very important. Notice that Jesus did not say, leave your mat there and walk. He didn't need the mat anymore, right? Let us remember that the mat is symbolic of an attitude that kept this man an invalid for 38 years. And this story is telling us that whatever it is that has kept us from moving forward, we must pick it up and walk. May I hear an amen on that? Whatever it is that has kept us from moving forward, we must pick it up and walk. You know, when we look at our lives and circumstances, it is a common attitude to get into the what I call if only blank, then blank syndrome. For example, let's see. If only I had a better education. If only I had married Miss Perfect or Mr. Perfect. If only I won the lottery. If only I lived in a better neighborhood. If only my spouse would listen to me. If only, if only, if only. And so I believe that when Jesus in the story says, pick up your mat and walk, he is basically saying, you can take whatever it is that has been holding you back and move with it. You don't need to wait for that to be out of the way in order to move. He's not telling us to wait until the circumstances are perfect or right in order for us to move forward. Let us remember that there's this, I think I have a PowerPoint here. In the Gospels, Jesus says, therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. He did not say, whatsoever you ask in my name after you retire, or after you get your finances in order, or after you get an education. Okay, I think that's very, very, very important. We're talking here about the law of attraction. And let's see how this verse of Jesus would have sound if we put it in metaphysical terms. Let's see. It would say, therefore, I, the highest spiritual ideal within you, advise you, whatsoever you claim and declare while tapping into me, your indwelling spirit, believe that is already yours. Act as though it is already yours, and see yourself in possession of what you seek. Feel the emotion that it will bring you, and it will be yours. Okay? So, two things paralyze us: analysis and fear. Believe Zig Ziglar used to say paralysis by analysis, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And I could tell you story after story of times when I took definite action in the direction of a dream or a goal, and it was at those times that I was successful. Whether it was starting a new business after I had failed miserably the first time, or uprooting my family actually 3 times to pursue new horizons and then a ministerial career, or starting a church. Basically, it took action. I can tell you also that it was not always like that. And there were many times where I just sat daydreaming, just thinking without taking action. And again, I was suffering from that paralysis by analysis. Sometimes we just need to take the plunge. We just need to take risks and get things done. Nothing has been written by anyone that did not at one time or another took risks. And I'd like to repeat what I said at the beginning, is that, my dear friends, the only dreams that are not fulfilled, or the only dreams that were not fulfilled, were the ones that were not put in motion. And this is extremely important. And I could go on and on, but the question is, how do we get out of this rut of not moving, of this kind of inertia thing? And based on my own experience, is that there were times that I had too many dreams and a whole legal pad full of goals. Lots of dreams, lots of goals, but no execution of those dreams and of those goals. There's a book that I started reading lately, and it is called The Four Disciplines of Execution. And the author suggests that the first discipline is to focus on what is wildly important. And this book is available on Amazon in Kindle format or hardcover. And so you need to, if you want to know a little more about wildly important, you suggest that this is a good book to read. And basically, in other words, take your legal path and narrow your dreams and your goals to three things that you want to accomplish in the next 3 months. 3 on 3, okay? You can combine spiritual goals, fitness goals, financial goals. And by the way, I'm doing all these as I'm sharing with you something that I'm doing, okay? So, but they have to be wildly important. And what does that mean? They have to be three things that if you began to execute them right now would cause major, noticeable, measurable, specific impact in your life in the next 3 months. You would have to notice a change, and that is not business as usual, that your life has actually been transformed by the execution of those three things. So it requires reflection. It requires reflection for you to determine exactly what would be three major things that you could commit to executing in the next 3 months. Brian Tracy, a motivator that I read many years ago, said that there were two types of daily activities, and one he called tension relieving. These are the things. This is busy work. This is when we spend 2 hours checking emails, or going into Facebook, or going into Pinterest, or cleaning stuff in the computer, and so on. But the other type of activity he referred to as goal achieving. So basically, when you are doing stuff, when you're doing stuff in your daily routine, you need to ask yourself, is this a tension relieving goal? Is this a tension relieving activity, or is this a goal achieving activity? All right. And so once you have narrowed your three wildly important goals, it is important that you stay away from those activities that are mere distractions, or they're just tension relieving, but are doing absolutely nothing to move you closer to achieving your goals. Perhaps one good question to ask, a litmus test, so to speak, is whenever you're doing something, whether it's checking email, or making a phone call, or whatever, you basically ask yourself, is this activity moving me closer to my goal or my dream? Okay, next week we'll talk more about this. In the meantime, here are a few things to try this week, and the practical application of this lesson. So any action needs to be preceded by prayer and affirmation. This is about seeking first the kingdom, having this time of personal worship, personal reflection, personal meditation. And like I said before, look at your daily activities and ask yourself which of those activities will get you closer to your highest goals, dreams, and expectation. And that's the way you prioritize your activities. All right. And use a calendar and put your important activities in there. One thing that I have learned is, if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't get done. If it's not on the calendar, if it's important enough, you put it on the calendar. If you did not put it on the calendar, it's because it's not important enough. Okay? And once again, let us take a deep breath, and as we reflect upon today's lesson, what is that mat that we need to pick up and walk? What is it that has been holding us back for 38 years? What is it? Is it a resentment? Is it an attitude? Is it something that we have procrastinated in doing for years? And if we simply gave us an additional 30 minutes every day, we could probably do it. Only you can tell. What is your mat? What is your mat? And as you enter into this awareness, first of all, and first and foremost, aware that the presence of God within you is supporting you in this endeavor. You know, somehow that load, that mat, becomes lighter. Always remember those words: if we move forward in the direction of our dreams and endeavor to live the life that we have imagined, we will meet with success unimagined in common hours. To endeavor the life that we have imagined, we have to pick up our mat and walk. Let us remain in this silence for a few seconds. And we release this prayer to the universe, and it becomes law. And so it is. Next week's lesson: why elephants don't fly. And I can't wait to hear what I have to say about that. And once again, I'd like to remind you you have an opportunity to put the law of giving and receiving into circulation by supporting this ministry, where you're getting your inspiration, where you're getting your fuel, so to speak, for the week. So, in the meantime, I'd like to remind you, do not go through green lights, only go through clear intersections. Have an awesome week, and God bless you.